Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Diagnose Brave video. I'm your host, Bethany, and today I thought about sharing a story about a way that I helped a friend become more comfortable being her own medical advocate. And I've sort of been on the struggle bus lately by the fact that there is so much content I want to share, but what's the best way to communicate that to you guys? And the inner critic's just been going wild. So I figured it would be a safe space if I just shared a story that would hopefully exemplify what I'm trying to do on this platform. Two major takeaways from sharing this story is the fact that you are not the only one who is going to feel negative about an aspect of the medical realm of things. Like the healthcare industry, there are ups and downs. There are just plus and minuses, like there are with everything. But I don't want that to deter you, frustrate you enough to where you just say, I'm going to throw in the towel, whatever. If I did that for even just one doctor, I mean, just the odds, right? I mean, I have a lot more doctor's appointments than the average person, but just because, you run into a doctor that you don't vibe with, or you get tests and you want to look something further, you don't agree with something that somebody says, like, just don't let that stop you. Just give yourself the grace to know that the whole process of navigating the healthcare industry is its own world. So, and then the second part is the fact that when you feel something's off or you notice something looks different, like, you know yourself the best. And so there's nothing wrong with seeking an opinion about what new complaint, if you will, is going on. You're worth it. And we only get one body in this life. And so to take care of it, and especially if it comes to anything pain related, I mean, that's a direct sign that your body is telling you something's wrong, period, whatever that is. But again, you know yourself the best. So if you notice something, talk to your doctor, go seek some advice from people you trust, and put yourself first when it comes to that. So back to the story idea. So my friend came to me and told me about a year ago that she had on again, off again, like leg cramping throughout the day, and that she noticed that there was some discoloration in her foot going on. And because I had done reflexology for a number of years, she wanted to know if, I would look at it. So I told her, next time you notice the discoloration, like, take a picture of it, and send it to me, and I'll look at it. So when she did that, I felt like there was a reason to possibly seek some medical attention. And so she called her GP, got in there, and he thought that she needed a referral to see a cardiologist. So she made an appointment with somebody in the group, and she met them, and they ordered a test. And she's telling me about this, experience and everything. And I was proud of her for making the follow up with the referral and going ahead and doing the test. But at this stage, and it being 4 weeks after the results have posted in my chart, like, I agree with her. Like, it's time for your doctor's office to comment about the test that they ordered for you. Let alone understanding the frustration that her, GP was in the same network of doctors. So, like, why didn't he see it? So she called them and inquired, and they called her back and said that, yeah, they got the test results. They wanted her to do another test, and then they would see her at that 3-month follow-up, appointment from them. So she told me, she was frustrated, feeling a sort of way about everything. And so I told her it seemed like there was a communication issue in that office. And so maybe it was time to seek out a second opinion. And I have had generally good luck at Rush University. And so I let her know that, I would have no problem at all driving her down there, helping her, find a cardiologist that was dealing with some of the stuff that she seemed to be dealing with. And, any follow up testing, like, I got your back, like, no problem. So we went online, we went through the list of cardiologists, came up with some that, seemed to match what she was looking for, what I thought we should keep an eye out for, kind of deal. And so we called, and one of them had an opening in about 3 months, which, when it comes to specialists in the Chicagoland area, that's pretty good. I would say probably 6 months is pretty average. Recently, I would say within the last 2 years, I waited about 12 to 14 months to see a specialist. Now, at least in my case, it was nothing that we were investigating, like immediate attention sort of thing. So I was able to wait to see that specialist. So in my friend's case, it was awesome, 3 months. I asked the office, because I know they got wait lists, can you put us on an early wait list? They said, yeah. Get a call a couple weeks later, and my friend's like, hey, can you get next, Tuesday off? I need to go. Like, absolutely. So we went down there, and we check in, and we're sitting there for a little bit. And all of a sudden I start to notice, like, my friend's getting kind of fidgety, getting a little bothered. It's been a few minutes, and like, how long are we going to wait? And it was, you know, cute to me, because I thought, like, oh, you thought your doctor's appointment was going to be like when the doctor's appointment time said. Like, that's adorable. Like last week I waited 2 hours to see one of my doctors, like, and I have waited up to 4 hours for certain doctors. So I forgot to mention the whole bring a book, bring your Kindle, even bring a snack and some water, because you just don't know how long you're going to be somewhere. So the front desk let us know, he was running a little bit behind. So we go to the back, and the nurse comes in to take her vitals. And my friend is like, hey, starts telling her all about what's going on and the reason she's there. And I was like, oh, hold on a second. So the nurse just comes in to take the vitals. You don't need to go over that stuff with her, And again, like, this is her, first major specialist appointment. And so there's just even some little navigating to be done, just to make sure you get the most out of your time, So just in the same way of she's saying, oh, well, it's taking so long, like, well, in the medical world, like, if you start telling your entire life story to every member that you see, that appointment is going to get really long. So I've, come to the point where I've learned, oh, who needs to know what information about what to make this, appointment as quick as I can possibly make it. So I was just politely coaching her through the appointment with these things that are, relatively new ideas. But she started to get worried, because it was taking a while for, the doctor to then come in the room. But I explained, at some hospitals, like, the doctor reviews all the tests, the notes, everything that's in the system. That's the one great part about technology, is the fact that, like, in these instances, it's a blessing. So he finally comes in the room, and he's ready to go. He's got all the information. He's explaining the tests. He's going through it. And even though there were aspects that were overwhelming, you could tell there was a sense of relief, that there was somebody who was acknowledging that there was something wrong. There was someone who was explaining what these test results meant, and what the next steps could look like, and just a wealth of information. Definitely overload, but information nonetheless. So we get out of that appointment, and she's supposed to make a follow-up in about 3 months, but because she's overwhelmed by how everything happened in the day, she did one of those, I'll call you later, which, it's hard to do, especially when you're going in a specialist's office. Like, those appointments can book out. So if you don't plan on going home and making that appointment, like, just don't leave without making a follow-up appointment, to at least have some date on the board because it's happened the other way multiple times, but I digress. So she goes home, processes the information. She tells me she wants to get, one of the tests done. So we go and get the test done. She gets more information. The cardiologist had suggested her to see another specialist to get on board, and she made that appointment, and she went to those appointments, and she was seeing them regularly, and it was just really neat to see how she was evolving with processing the medical information she was getting for somebody who didn't have more than one specialist at a time. So it can happen. It's all about baby steps. And so she decided after the test and everything that she wanted to find somebody who was closer to her house so she didn't have to lean on me to do the driving. And I totally respect that. I was just so proud of her for making the appointment and doing, the follow up kind of deal. But again, in that instance, she got overwhelmed a few times by, the amount of information. And you're going to have stumbles along the way because it's all part of that learning process overall. Even one time, there was a video visit in between that story, and I said, "Do you want me there?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Well, try to record it on your phone, or if you have a little tape player, because it always helps to have a second set of ears. Because whenever you're getting new information medically, like, that's already overwhelming. But especially if there's a chance that there could be some negative information that's being shared, I think it's only natural that when a doctor starts to say something negative about what's going on, that we get stuck and kind of just fixate on that. And then the rest of the conversation to what the doctor's saying and anything after that point is just completely out the window, you know? And I've learned the hard way. And so I've had to bring people with me when I've needed that kind of support, or simply just by my phone. You usually have an audio record. And I'll just, let the doctor know, hey, I just want to make sure that I can replay this if I need to later. And I have yet to have anybody have a problem with me recording that. But along the way, as she made the appointments and as my friend, met with these different doctors, it was those baby steps, and it was those little bit stumbles along the way to, she didn't make the follow appointment. So then a month and a half later, when she called to make the follow up appointment, well, now we're looking at 4 months availability, and it was like, well, the doctor wanted to see me in 3 months. Like, well, wanted to see you in 3 months. You didn't make the appointment within the time period of his schedule being open. So now it's the next available. But again, always double check if there's a wait list. And sometimes I've asked, certain hospitals don't have the wait list. And I say, how offended do you guys get if I just call every couple of days to find out if there's any cancellations? And I would say probably a good 90 to 95% of the time, like, I get told, like, you can call back twice a day for all I care, And so it's like, okay, this is how they operate. Got it. Because when you do want to get an appointment sooner than they offer, there are some different tricks and, tips along the way, which is, again, what I'm trying to get out on this platform. So, so over the course of the year, like, definitely changed from being unsure of how to make those appointments and how to kind of manage those appointments to watching her soar to the point to where she can be doing this for herself, and definitely calls and kind of runs things by, and I share what I can. But it's been neat to see that experience play through and to be able to help along the way. So I hope that you get empowered and encouraged in the fact that you are important enough to seek care when something doesn't feel right, and that it's okay to be negative feelings about the medical world. We've all been there. So show yourself some grace and enjoy the rest of your week, and check back with a new video probably next week. Have a great one.